this webinar today. So please save your questions for the end. Elizabeth will be answering questions after her presentation concludes. As a reminder, please make sure that you're on mute. If you accidentally unmute yourselves, please make sure that you mute again. And also stick around for the end. We will be sharing a link to take a webinar survey and earn 1 CEU for your attendance. So right now, I'm going to introduce our special guest speaker. It is Elizabeth Crenshaw. She is a good personal friend of mine. We were just talking before the webinar. We've known each other for at least 10 years. She is, in addition to being a community health worker, also a registered yoga teacher, and that's where I know her from. As many of you know, I am also a registered yoga teacher. So Elizabeth is joining us today from Wayne State University in their Center for Health and Community Impact, where she works in collaboration with Wayne Health. And now I'm going to pass it over to her. Thank you so much for joining us today, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I think you're still on mute.
Hello, there we go. You gotta love technology. Well, thank you, Portia. Hello, everybody, and welcome, and thank you for joining today. Just before we get started, I just wanna take a moment just to pause. You don't have to close your eyes, you don't have to do anything, but this allows us just this permission just to take a break, this intentional pause right now. So for many of us, we have our obligations at home, at work. You may have had patients and clients that you've worked with today, but just allowing us this time together just to connect, to have fun, and just to share some information. So if you feel ready and you're comfortable with me, take a big breath in through your nose and just take a deep sigh out. Awesome. So we'll get ready to begin today and talk about the great subject of mindfulness in the workplace. So mindfulness in the workplace for CHWs. My name is Elizabeth Crenshaw. So I'm a CHW. I'm a certified yoga therapist, a registered yoga teacher, and also able to teach different workshops and different courses in the space of yoga as well. So some of our core concepts we're going to talk about today is, I'll share with you a little bit about what my background is, the definition of mindfulness, what is mindfulness, why is it beneficial, how to integrate mindfulness in your work you do with your clients, how to integrate it in your everyday lives and even in the workplace. We'll practice and then we'll have some time for Q&A. So a little bit about myself. My name is Elizabeth Crenshaw. I am from Wayne State University. So I currently work in the Center for Health and Community Impact, which is a division of the kinesiology department in the College of Education. We work in conjunction with Wayne Health. My role is a CHW training and recruitment specialist. So we are currently working on a couple of big projects. We are overseeing a research grant. One that we got funded for was a P50 grant through NIH, and we received $18 million to lead hypertension research efforts in the city of Detroit through a project called Achieve Greater. We're also doing other hypertension outreach through the LEAP project, MIDDI disability, and then COVID-19 vaccination. So we are looking to support those who are disabled physically or mentally, as well as leading efforts in preventing vaccination hesitation. In addition to that, I'm owner of Yaktown Yoga. So it's a mobile yoga studio that provides holistic wellness, accessible yoga, yoga therapy, mindfulness, and meditation to all groups, with a big focus of serving underserved communities and reaching out to communities to show them other methods to empower their everyday lives. I also serve as a yoga therapist where I work in healthcare. Some of the healthcare systems I've worked with is Beaumont, St. Joe's, and Henry Ford. I'm a mental health advocate. I like to do different lectures on ACEs. I'm a champion for health in the community and just supporting others through that process and advocating for it. And then just kind of going through titles below, if you're kind of like wondering, what does that mean? I'm also CHW, like many of you are here today. The CIAYT is just showing a certification for yoga therapists. So that International Association of Yoga Therapists, I'm certified for that to do yoga therapy. And if you're not familiar with that, yoga therapy is basically different from a yoga class, we use yoga modalities, holistic wellness to develop a treatment plan for a client based on their specific health needs. For instance, it could be rheumatoid arthritis, it could be sickle cell anemia. So we're developing a treatment plan and then working in conjunction with their health team or provider for treatments. I'm a yoga teacher. ERYT 500 just means experienced yoga teacher. It's one of the higher levels that you can get through Yoga Alliance. I'm a registered children's yoga teacher, and I can provide courses, which is what that YACEP stand for. So I am a community health worker as well. I understand it. So I'm excited to give you a perspective from a CHW background. So we're going to move right along. The definition of mindfulness. So if you're not familiar with mindfulness, it's the practice of being intentionally aware of our thoughts and actions in the present moment without judgment. Mindfulness, it cultivates the ability to be more present with our experience rather than simply reacting to experiences without noticing what is actually going on. And then just to simply put it with what is. So it's something that each and everyone can use, you can use, those that you work with can use. And it's really just becoming aware, being more present, being more intentional, noticing your emotions, and how you notice your emotions, you can kind of control how you respond to them, and working with patients and working with family, friends, and loved ones, and even your employers or employees that you work with. So we're going to take mindfulness a little bit further. What is mindfulness? So mindfulness is that ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing. So we're not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So for instance, you could be out driving, someone cuts in front of you, cuts you off. Initially, you might feel like, oh, I just want to like say something, cuss them out, swear. You might react to that. But when you really truly practice mindfulness, the little stuff doesn't bother you. So it doesn't trigger you. This is something that many of us already possess. It's something that you don't have to learn how to access it. You already have the ability to do so. It doesn't require anyone to change their beliefs. It's nothing special. It's not a religion. It's just something that we practice about fully being aware of the right now. So in that way of living, it brings awareness and caring to everything that we do. It's evidence-based. So science has proven that mindfulness does provide health benefits. It makes us more happier. It makes us more productive in our work and enjoy our work. And it also improves our relationships. Some other examples of how you can practice mindfulness, it could be something as simple as seated, walking, standing, or a moving meditation, where you're just present and being aware of your breath and aware of this moment. It could be short pauses in your everyday life. It could be merging your meditation practice with activities such as yoga or sports. So you can even do this in working out, just staying present on the muscle that you're working, staying focused on running or your strides when you're running or walking. So this is something that you can do, and there's not much that you have to change. So why is mindfulness beneficial? There are so many reasons why it is beneficial, but some things that you can think of right away, it strengthens your self-awareness and self-regulation. There's better focus and productivity. You're less stressful and anxious. You have more patience. So you have more patience with those that you're working with, your clients. You're more accepting, you're more forgiving, and you're even more resilient. So ultimately, this leads to a more enjoyable life, a more enjoyable experience in everything that you do. So moving on, so mindfulness is a superpower. So I wanted to share with you this short video. Let's see if we can play this here. Let me go back.
There is a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, "I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful. The child asks, which wolf will win the fight? The elder responds, the one I feed. That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, we can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
So that's just a short video to reinforce that mindfulness is something that we can all tap into, and just another way to highlight materials to understand. So we're going to move right along to mindfulness changes the brain. So when we chart new pathways in the brain, mindfulness can change the banter inside our heads from chaotic to calm. So during our everyday lives, you might feel your brain moving in so many different directions. Sometimes you might hear people say that, oh, I can't pause because, it's uncomfortable, or I'm not used to it. And as you learn to practice mindfulness, you're able to shift that response where you're not uncomfortable in that pause. So a little bit about this. So we're going to talk about our brain. So the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex. So the amygdala of our brain, it's detected when we are aroused, when detected and reacting to emotions, especially difficult or strong emotions. So for example, fear. So this part of our brain we're looking at is less active and has less gray matter density following mindfulness training. So when we look at the hippocampus, so that's kind of that reddish orange color, the critical to learning and memory. So this part of our brain deals with that. It helps to regulate the amygdala, which is our security guard. It protects us. And this part of our brain is more active and has more gray matter density following mindfulness training. Lastly is the prefrontal cortex. And this part of our brain is associated with maturity. So it is like our wise leader. It keeps us from doing those things that maybe we shouldn't, because it includes regulation of emotions and behaviors, and it helps us to make good decisions. This part of the brain is activated following mindfulness training. So you can see that mindfulness, plays an important part in changing and reprogramming how our brain works. So going a little bit further with this, I talked about gray matter, and you're probably wondering, okay, she said gray matter, so what is it? Gray matter, it's part of the central nervous system, and the central nervous system is made up of tissue known as gray matter and white matter. Gray matter can also be spelled G-R-A-Y, gray matter, and that makes up the outermost layer of our brain. It's pinkish in tone, so it's that kind of circular part around the edges in the picture. That is the gray matter. So these are the areas where the actual processing is done in our brain. Then you switch over to the white matter, which is in the middle, and that's the area that provides communication between different gray matter areas and between gray matter and the rest of the body. So as you practice mindfulness, we are rewiring how we think. We're changing our brain. We're reprogramming our brain. And ultimately in this process, we're changing our outlet and how we think about our lives. So I'm going to change this gears a little bit. I spoke a little bit about what mindfulness is and how it changes our brain. Let's talk about how we can use this with our clients. So as a CHW, when you're working with clients or patients, there's approaches that you can use to help them deal with stress or help them approach different issues in their lives. Mindfulness is one tool. So mindfulness is all about the Practice. I feel like Aretha saying respect, but it's practice. So Practice, learning to focus on calming the mind. When you talk with your clients, it's about how do we do it? And simply, it's just non-judgment awareness of the breath. When the mind wanders or you feel sleepy, it's okay. And reinforcing that with your clients, reinforcing them, letting them know that it's okay if your mind is everywhere. It happens. If that does happen, allowing your attention to come back to the object of awareness. Ultimately, we're practicing coming back to our breath after your mind wanders. And as we do so, we develop concentration, we increase our mental stability, and we can help regulate our emotions. So when you just want to break this down to someone, just being aware of what is happening in your mind can help you step back from it. This helps you not to identify with or believe in negative thoughts. So this is a way of helping your clients deal with situations that come up in their life. And one way to approach some situations is practicing mindfulness. So some common responses that you might hear from your clients, well, I get too sleepy, or I fall asleep, or it could be I'm boring. But what you can say to them is it's simply non-judgment awareness of breath. When the mind wanders or you feel sleepy, it's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. It's normal. The more you do it, the more comfortable you will be at this. Another common response that you might get from clients is my mind is too busy. I'm too distracted by this. And you know what you can say? Well, this is normal. It's perfectly fine. Remind your clients to stay away from judgments that you are doing something wrong. Practicing mindfulness will build your mental concentration muscle, and it will allow you to be in the space a little bit longer. Again, to go a little bit deeper with our clients, you want to meet your clients where they are. So for instance, there might be someone who's dealing with a lot of stress. You might guide your clients in elements of a stress reduction plan. So you want to support and reinforce your clients' own strength. Enlist that your clients have idea of how they would like you to support them. So feel comfortable asking them, how would you like me to support you? How would you feel about the support I give you? And then as that CHW, you want to step back and assume a neutral and non-judgmental presence in order to support the client's ideas. We want to truly listen and have that empathetic awareness for our clients. One way to do this is expressing compassion and respect for our client's experience. And the use of ors is one way to remember that. Open-ended question, clients can give feedback, affirming it, acknowledging that you receive that information, reflecting on that listening, and then acknowledging or summarizing that you've heard them. So going a little bit further with this and reinforcing with clients, remembering to access and acknowledge the client's strength in stress management. Ask them about it, support them, offering a realistic stress management plan. You can offer them mindfulness, something that they can implement and fit in their daily life. So there's nothing they have to rearrange their lives to do. And explore methods with them to support them, and then provide reminders by setting timelines or doing things mutually agreed upon with the clients. All you have to remember to tell them is just being aware of what's happening in your mind right now can help you step back from it. This can help them release any negative thoughts and move forward into helping support the needs of your clients. So right here, I took this from the American Psychological Association. So this is an example of something that you can even say with clients. Now, remember, we do have to stay true to our scope. So we are CHWs and we're not psychologists. So we're not diagnosing or treating or prescribing any medication in this space. But what's really cool about this, it offers some ways you can ask those open-ended questions. So for instance, can you say with what is happening right now? Can you breathe with what is happening right now? What can you tell me about your experience right now? So notice how those open-ended questions are available. And I just want to have this kind of here for a moment just to absorb. This is something that you can use. And again, remembering that staying true to our scope of CHWs, we're just asking those questions. So I wanted to show you this as one way you can ask your client that you're working with something about what's happening in that moment. Moving on, I inserted another chart. Again, this is from the American Sociological Association. And this kind of showcases some ways we can work with our clients too. and that perspective of empathy, compassion, counseling skills, and decreasing stress and anxiety. So asking your client what makes them feel more or less stress, having those conversations, having those connection pieces here. So I'm going to leave this here, but this will be shared. So this will give you an opportunity to go in a little bit deeper. Again, this is just another way to add to our tool belt as CHWs and staying true to our scope, remembering that we are CHWs, but this is one way we can approach it as we move forward with clients. So let's look at the definition of stress. So mindfulness is one tool that we can use to deal with stress. So stress is defined as the way we respond to and are affected by events and situations that are placed a demand on our internal and external resources. So for instance, some common stressors that any of us can experience is starting a new job, loss of a job, illness or injury, even anxiety, or even low self-esteem. Then we flip the switch and we move into our stressors at work. So what does that mean? We could have a heavy caseload. We could have some conflict in the workplace. Maybe there's lack of support, maybe relationships. And then as we move into our clients, when we work with our clients, we might see anything from someone with declining health, suicidal thoughts, struggling with substance abuse, even experiencing prejudice and discrimination based on identity and history. So all of this we deal with every single day in our role as a CHW, right? So we absorb some of this. So mindfulness is a tool that we can use not only with our clients, but with ourselves so that we can replenish and keep giving, because we can't work from an empty cup, right? So this is a tool that we can use to support this concept of stress and how do we deal with it when it comes up. So let's shift into mindfulness in the workplace. Mindful working is one thing we can focus on. And that just simply means, how can we focus our awareness to everything that you're doing from the moment you enter the office or the moment that you're in the field, right? We focus on that specific task at hand, and we recognize and realize all internal, external distractions as they arise. So it could be someone running around in the house, maybe the kids are running around, it could be outside noises, it could be internal distractions that you experience that come up with your clients. Maybe they're saying something to you. There's all types of things that happen, and we're just aware of these things. When you get up in the morning, establish a routine. Starting your day off right, maybe you've laid your clothes out. Maybe it's, I'm going to the gym to work out. Establish something that's meaningful to you so that you get in the habit of having a routine. Plan your day ahead. The human brain processes information effectively when data is presented as lists. Studies show that we remember things, we're able to fulfill things when we have that schedule, when we have that list. So that's a tool that you can use to help you. And finding focus in the midst of chaos. So let's keep it real. The workplace is fun, but sometimes there's days where you're stressed out. Sometimes there's days that you might question why you are CHW or why you do this work. And that's okay. It's normal, right? But as you associate every task that you do, remind yourself and bring yourself back to the focus. Why do you do what you do? What is that purpose behind it? It could be that passion that you have for serving and connecting with someone in the community and making their life better. So despite all those little things that pop up from day to day, take a break, take a moment to pause, and just notice. That is where that mindfulness comes in. And one of the key things to really truly remember here is to schedule time out. So sometimes we get so caught up into working full straight all the way through, right? That we don't eat lunch, that we don't take a snack, that we don't drink water, that we don't step away and just take a short break. So remember to prioritize you, where that you have a moment just to take a break, where you have a moment to step back from your work and just breathe, where you take a pause between working from client to client. So these were just some tools that you can remember as you continue doing this work as a CHW. We'll shift into mindfulness in your daily life. So I'm going to give 3 ways about how you can increase mindfulness in your daily life. One of the first ways is a mindful wake up. So when you wake up in the morning, a lot of us wake up, we could be excited, we can be like, this is great. Sometimes you have days where you're waking up like, oh, I'm just tired, I'm exhausted. And those things happen. It's normal, it's life, right? But each day that you wake up, can you start your day with purpose? What is your intention? What is your motivation for everything we think, say, or do. Think about it, right? Ask yourself, what is your intention today or even right now? How might I show up today to have the best impact? What do I need to take better care of myself? And then how might I feel more connected and fulfilled? You don't have to respond, but just pause and reflect, right? What is your intention today? What is something that you can connect with and really focus on today? Now, throughout your day, see if you can check in with yourself. Some of those ways you can do this is pause, take those intentional pauses, and it's okay to do so. Take a breath, just breathe, revisit your intention, revisit that focus point that you made. And then as you do so, notice as you become more and more conscious of your intentions, how things shift for you in your life. So the quality of communications become better, relationships become better, and even your mood shifts. So this is something that you can use in your day-to-day lives. You can even start your day off by just taking a breath. Some people start their day off with meditation. They may read the Bible, they may go work out, but just think about what you can do every day that you wake up to have this mindful wake up moment. Next, we're going to shift into mindful eating. So this is another way we can increase mindfulness in our daily lives. So, you know, when you're really hungry or you forget to eat, if you're just scarfing stuff down, you're just like, you know, I'm chowing down, and then you realize, okay, I'm so stuffed, I'm so full. What did I even really eat? Like what did I actually put in my body, right? So as you go through your day, we have this habit of just going full speed all the time, you know, 0 to 100 real quick. We're just focused. We're like, I have to do X, Y, Z and do it now. But what if we can take a moment, and maybe you can even do this today. Maybe you can just practice this where you just spend some time enjoying the food that you eat, that you're aware of how it tastes, that you observe it, you're in the moment, you're not non-judgmental as you eat, and you just enjoy every mouthful that you have. Slow down and just continue to breathe deeply as you eat. Now, even breathing before eating, bringing your awareness to the sensations in your belly, and then even asking yourself some questions, such as, how hungry am I? What physical sensations tell me that I'm hungry and not hungry? And just beginning to tune into our bodies. As we become more aware of this mindful eating, we can even be in tune as to figure out, you know, are we really hungry in this moment? You know, are we just eating just to eat? You know, sometimes when we're at the desk or we're working, we just eat just because it's there, we're going to eat. But this makes you more aware of everything that you do and the intention behind it. Another thing is eating according to your hunger. So noticing how you eat, what you choose to eat when you eat it, and even how much you eat. And then lastly, if you don't love it, don't eat it. So just enjoy your food and experience the taste and the flavors and textures of food. When we rush through our food, sometimes we don't even know what we really ate. But sometimes when you take that initial pause and you just find that time to slowly eat, you enjoy the spices, you notice things about the food, and you become more connected, not only with food necessarily, but with yourself. So again, we're revisiting how we can improve in our daily lives by implementing mindfulness. And this is another way we can do so. And then lastly, mindfulness in your daily life will include that mindful pause. So pause, breathe, and reset. So don't be afraid to pause. I mean, mindfulness is as simple as taking an intentional pause. You can even schedule it into your calendar, intentional pause, if you just need that reminder. And all you're doing in that moment is checking in, noticing your feelings, noticing your emotions, pausing before you react, and just taking that break, that little time out. Now, what this ultimately does, rewires your brain. It takes you off of autopilot, and then it moves you into this in 100 different directions. You could be thinking right now about, okay, maybe I'm hungry and I need to think about what I'm eating. Maybe you're thinking about, okay, I have to work with this client next, or even your caseload, but just see if you can pause, breathe, and just think about the right now in this moment. And then as you do so, you're able to gain more control of your life. You're able to have more focus. You're more enjoyable. You're not as aggravated. And then you can actually just move through things without being reactive to it, right? So we just have this awareness where we know things come up, but we're able to navigate and pivot when it does. And all this teaches us is how to be more resilient and more patient. And it's really important, especially as we're still navigating this pandemic, to take those time for you, to take the pause, to take that break, and just to focus. So as we continue here, we'll practice mindfulness meditation. And like the picture says, mindful or mindful. So our mind is naturally full with so many things, like the picture you see cars, you see smiley face, you see person, you see all these different things, right? But then on the right side, when our mind is not as full, it's less cluttered, right? So as we practice mindfulness, we're able to shift from the cluttered space to more of a free space, right? Where we're just rolling with the flow. Now, some of the easiest and most effective ways to begin to practice mindfulness as a formal meditation practice is just one way you can do it, is to simply focus your intention on your breath and to see what happens as you attempt to rest there. So one way you can integrate mindfulness is a mindfulness meditation. Only thing you have to do is just breathe, bring your attention to the breath, noticing your breath. And as you notice your breath, notice what happens, notice what comes up. That's one simple way just to integrate this idea of mindfulness. We'll keep it going. So to demonstrate this a little bit further, I have what we call a mindfulness meditation. So I wrote like a little bit of a short script here. We'll practice. This is something that you can come back to if you're wanted to try this with a client or even integrate in your life. You can review this. You can build up on it. You can add to it. There's not a wrong or right way to put those words into expression. So I'm going to have you practice with me or even come to this mindfulness meditation space. So if you're driving, if you're seated, wherever you are, just take a moment to get comfortable. You might wiggle in your chair. You might wiggle wherever you are. And your choice here if you would like to close your eyes. If that is you, give yourself that permission. If automatically you kind of felt some reaction to closing your eyes, just keep it open. Both are fine. Once you notice what feels right for you, take a deep breath in through your nose, and then just open your mouth here and sigh it out. So just take a deep sigh. And just take this intentional pause. So as you get materials and as you hear all these things that we've talked about today, to really reinforce things, it's good to practice. It's good to put it into action. So as you come to your breath, just begin to notice. And paying attention to your breath means simply nothing more than just paying attention to it. Nothing more, nothing less. In this moment right now, wherever you are, know that I'm right there with you. Know that we are mindfully bringing our focus to our breath together. And know that in this moment, we're just becoming aware of each breath. Noticing the breath, how it comes in. And noticing the breath as how it comes out. Just as it is. Nothing more, nothing less, just noticing. Now, right here, right now, in this present moment, just feel your breath. Noticing the awareness of your breath. And even observing if the mind starts to wander. If it does, it's normal. No big deal. If that is you and you feel your mind just kind of veering to the side, give yourself permission to bring it back to the attention of your breath. So you just feel this focus, this connection of breathing. And in this moment, just feeling your breath. As you notice your breath, we're just training our minds to be less reactive and focusing on the right now. We're just taking each moment one by one as it comes, not valuing any moment over the other moments. We are just noticing what it is right here, right now. And even thinking it is what it is. Just noticing that concept of mindfulness, it doesn't have to be scary. We can all do this. Just simply bringing that focus, that attention back to your breath. You might even start to feel the air that comes in through the nose, and then as it comes out right over the top of your lip. Again, we're just bringing that focus back to that attention of our breath each time it wanders. So we're just building and cultivating this natural ability to concentrate on our breath as we invite our breath just to be, as we invite ourselves just to return to our breath. And giving yourself this permission to start again. Knowing that this space of mindfulness, this intention, you can do it anywhere. It's simple, it's free. It's available to you, to anyone you work with. You can tune into it whenever you need that space to be. Just staying with your breath. Again, your choice, eyes open, eyes closed. It's about what feels right for you. Your connection, your space, your time, you matter. Your breath matters. Again, we just come back to our breath. It's okay. It doesn't matter what type of breath that you do. We're just becoming aware that there's not a style or a rhythm. There's not a beat. It's just simply noticing your breath in this moment. And just starting again. And then when you're ready, just beginning to take a big breath in once again. And then allowing your mouth to open, take a sigh out. And just notice. Just coming back to that intentional pause, that awareness of this moment. So as we continue to move on with this educational space of mindfulness, our next slide is more about our shared experience. I know exactly how you feel. So it's important that, we come to these spaces to connect with each other in this work that we do as CHWs, but also in that learning space. So after we've experienced a moment of mindfulness, just ask yourself the following questions. You don't have to respond, just think about it and just note it. What was it like to try a mindfulness meditation? What was it like to even focus on your breath? Was anything about this experience surprising to you? Were there any challenges for you? And then lastly, asking yourself, would you be interested or willing to try this every day for 10 minutes? If 10 minutes is too much, what about 2 minutes, 3 minutes? What if you just tried a little bit of this every day? Just think about it. And then ask yourself why or why not. Again, just finding moments to pause in your life regularly whenever you need to. So we'll continue to move on in this slide together. One of the biggest things here is giving yourself grace, giving yourself forgiveness, letting stuff go, not holding on to it. And sometimes that's hard to do as CHWs in this work. Sometimes it's just hard to do in everyday life. So self-care for stress reduction is truly a lifelong process. Meditation is one tool bank to use to get there. Mindfulness is another approach to help us get out of our own way and to deal with stress and to deal with jobs and to deal with life, family, friends, loved ones. But give yourself this space to know that we are all a work in progress. Some days are great, some days are not great, but that's okay. The tools of mindfulness and that space to just pause gives us skills to cope and to build resilience. And then I wanted to share this poem with you that I found. The author is unknown, but this is something that can remind us about how this is something that we continue to work on every single day. So if you can start cleaning and boring people with your troubles, if you can eat the same food every day and be grateful for it, if you can understand when loved ones are too busy to give you time, if you can take criticism and blame without resentment, if you can conquer tension without medical help, if you can relax without liquor, if you can sleep without the aid of drugs, then you are probably a dog. So that just tells us that, a little bit of humor, a little bit of fun, that, we're all a work in progress. Some days are good, some days are bad, but give yourself that space to keep going, to try new things, but to let it go. So that mindfulness teaches us to notice our moments, notice those reactions, those feelings that come up right now, and then give yourself grace. Step away, step back as we continue to move forward. Now, just remember some tools that you can think about and even share with friends, family, loved ones, clients, those that you work with. One is a mindfulness meditation, and that's periodically throughout the day, just pause and breathe. And it's as simple as breathing in, I calm my body, breathing out, I relax. Thinking about that, bringing your awareness to your breath. This is something that you can use anytime, any place, anywhere. Another thing to remember is find moments throughout the day to pause. I like to use the word stop, and let's break stop down. So S stands for stop what you're doing, just pause. T is take a few breaths. O, observe and check in with what's going around you, what's happening around you, just notice. P, pick how to proceed. Ask yourself what's the most skillful thing to be doing next. So this is something that you can use in your tool bank to stop and pause. And then the next thing, last thing, taking time to shift out of your work mode. So after a long day, we sometimes come home, we carry our work with us mentally and emotionally. So before you enter your house, your home, wherever you're going, see if you can create a routine to shift your focus before going into your home, leaving work at work. So the minute you step through that door, you no longer are taking in the demands that you've experienced before. And maybe that's creating an end of the shift routine before stepping into your home. I gave one example on the slide. You might ground yourself while standing outside your front door, just taking a moment to feel your feet on the step, on the concrete, on the carpet, on the grass, and then giving yourself permission to disconnect from work. So that when you get home, you're not taking all of the problems that you've experienced, all the cases that you may have worked on, all the documentation, all of that stuff, you're not taking it in with you to compound and to grow and to stress and other things. That when you enter that door, you're okay. That you know that work is done and that you're able to enjoy those things that you find happy and to do those things for you, your family, and your loved ones. So here is just a few references that you can review in your free time, and some videos and some different educations on more information about mindfulness. And these are some ways to stay connected. I have my email address here, so feel free to reach out. I shared some of the links for Wayne State University as well as Wayne Health, and a little bit more information about the Center for Health and Community Impact for Wayne State. So if there's any questions, is there anything that you would love to learn or know, reach out. I'm available. I'd love to respond. So I'm an added tool in your tool bank. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for spending this time to learn new information. And I hope that you can integrate mindfulness into some area of your life every single day, and even in the work that you do as a CHW. So are there any questions at this time?
I'm not seeing any questions, but I do see a lot of thank yous. So we'll just see if there are any questions in the chat. At this time, if you would like to unmute yourself or raise your hand, you could do that also. And we'll just monitor the chat for a moment or two. I would like to say thank you to our special guest, Elizabeth Crenshaw. She is taking suggestions for future webinars. So if you have an idea of something that you would like to learn more about in this area, please feel free to share that in the chat. I can share that with her, or you can email me at education@michwa.org. I will be sending out an email as soon as this webinar concludes with Elizabeth's contact information, as well as a copy of her presentation deck that she shared in the webinar today, and a few other resources that she would like to share with you as well. So I don't see any other questions. What I'd like to do now is share in the chat the link that you can click on to take a quick webinar feedback survey. Once you submit that, you should be able to go back to where you enrolled, to your dashboard, and view, download, or print your certificate. Once you've done that, you can go to the registry and upload your certificate for approval. And we typically approve those in about 48 hours. Any other questions, comments, or suggestions for Elizabeth? Okay, great. Well, if not, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today from wherever it is that you joined us from across the state of Michigan. I'd like to thank Elizabeth once again for joining us. And if you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to contact me at education@michwa.org or reach out to Elizabeth in the email that you will receive shortly. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Mhm.